What's up, buddy?
How's it going, man? Missed you out there today.
Yeah, listen, I think I could buy a little grace. I was in Dallas this weekend, so, a little exhausted.
Big weekend for you too. You killed that.
Thanks. But exhausting.
I can only imagine, but you killed that. That was awesome coverage. Good stuff.
Yeah, thanks, man, and great player too. So let's talk about it today. So look, I was reading your report, and I suggest anybody that's an LSU fan to go follow Zach on Twitter at ZNaggy20. And I thought your report was pretty awesome. Let's run through this, though, Zach. Listen, I don't think what's crazy to me is this. I told you this at practice the other day, I think. Maybe I told somebody else, but I'm pretty sure I told you. Dude, we're not talking enough about Jayden Daniels. And that's the bottom line. Okay? He goes back out there today after being criticized the day before for God knows whatever reason.
Yeah.
Goes out there in 2-minute drill again today, Zach, and lights it up like he's on the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's how much he was lighting it up. So, buddy, we need to start talking a little bit more about Jayden Daniels.
Look, for the most part, when I was on here at one point, I think you might have asked me, we were talking about the whole Heisman stuff and how he was number 2 in the Heisman running.
Right.
And it seems like he has that Heisman, talk. But even just us in the media, we're not really sitting back and talking about just how much he's torching during fall camp. I mean, he's torching. And today was just a completely the same story. That 2-minute drill was something special. And it was nice because he wasn't forcing things. It's just coming naturally to him now. And that Malik Nabers connection is going to be unbelievable. We were talking to Garrett Nussmeier after practice today, and he had 2 words for him. He's different. It's the only 2 words that he used to describe Malik Nabers. So it's going to be something special, but kind of just staying on Jayden Daniels. He connected with Malik Nabers in the end zone for a score. Malik Nabers had 3 scores during the red zone work. So it's something special, man. Jayden Daniels is torching, and it's not being talked about enough, including myself.
So why? Let me ask, why aren't we doing it? Like, I feel like I am, but I look around this and the buzz, is it just because it's fall camp or the DBs are struggling? Like, why? Why do you think that it ultimately, why we're not talking about it?
I like the second reason. Like, the secondary has been struggling to a degree, so it's easy to, nitpick and say that they're not playing well, and he's kind of just taking advantage of that. But at this point, it's expected for him to be really good. Like, this is what he needs to be doing. It's expected of him in year 2. Same offensive system, 10 returning offensive starters. I mean, it's expected for him to torch at this point. So, that might be one of the reasons why we're not really talking about him enough. But, to be honest, it's not fair to him because he's killing it. And we need to, praise him as he should be.
You mentioned Malik Nabers, and he has been on a different planet, the last 2 weeks.
Dude, yes.
What do we make of this, Zach? I mean, because we've covered some really good wide receivers here. Yeah. And this is starting to look like Ja'Marr Chase in 2019 when you go out there and he's unguardable and Derek Stingley can't cover him. Christian Fulton can't cover him. I don't want to put that accolade on him. Okay, I don't. But if you covered the team in 19, this has a lot of similarities. Would I be going too far in saying that there's a lot of buzz in that comparison that he's having?
That it's tremendous high praise to compare him to Ja'Marr Chase, arguably the greatest receiver in LSU history. Arguably, so before the chat starts crucifying me, it's debatable. Like, he's arguably the best wide receiver that you've got. Referring to Ja'Marr Chase. So fast forward now to 2023 with Malik Nabers. I mean, what he's doing is special. He dominated as a sophomore. 1,000-yard season is kind of tough to do as just a sophomore. So now, again, it's expected for him to come in and just kill the game. And I think he's going to do that. He's a physical specimen, and it's showing in a big way.
I know that we have to wait for the scrimmage until Saturday, but do we have to really wait? Like, because at what point, Zach, do we sit back and just say that this offense has been dominating? They're dominating the running game. Jayden Daniels had a scramble for a TD today. I guess break that 2-minute drill down for us, because just to give the listeners that weren't there or hadn't seen your report yet, can you give us that 2-minute drive rundown, like what it looked like?
For the most part, you're just seeing Jayden Daniels be completely poised. And like you said, I mean, he scored on a scramble, and he scored with Malik Nabers as well. He connected with him in the end zone. And It's not a matter of him rushing things. I know it's a 2-minute drill where you're supposed to be rushing things, but when you have a quarterback that looks so poised and comfortable in the pocket, again, small sample size, fall camp, but even just dating back to last year, the Jayden Daniels 2-minute drill was something that wasn't really a concern. He kind of killed it last year as well. So carrying the same success into right now and looking at today, it was just much of the same. He was really poised in the pocket, connected with his receivers, balanced attack with his legs as well. So you're seeing a complete player doing what he's supposed to be doing at this point in his career.
All right, I want to move to the secondary. Do you want to knock out this Denver Harris thing first? Can we just
let's talk about it? Let's do it. I don't know if they're talking about it in the chat just yet, but
it's all over the place.
Let's hit it.
All right. So I have not been able to confirm anything. Okay. But Zach, me and you again talked about this in practice. Robert Steeples last week jumped all over him for doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing on the field, meaning making a wrong read.
Yeah.
However, he wasn't in the team photo. He hasn't been in practice the last 2 days. What do we make of this?
It's. I wish I had an answer for you. I think a lot of people wish that they had an answer for you. It's been really kept, close to the vest, and it's been silent. But you might have to start piecing a couple of things together. No team photo. Last 2 days not there. Is it a suspension? Is he off the team? Which one is it? Those are your two options, and ultimately we'll know tomorrow what the verdict is on that. But I mean, those are your two options at the end of the day. And he came to LSU on a tight leash. He might not have had 3 strikes like everybody else. He might have only had 2. And Brian Kelly let him know that during their, kind of meetings before he ended up coming to campus. So he knew what he was getting himself into. Is it a suspension? Is he gone? We'll find out sooner rather than later.
Were you surprised that Brian Kelly moved up his press conference? And let me ask you a double-edged question here. Am I really led to believe that Brian Kelly, the cerebral assassin, when it comes to how he deals with things, moves a press conference up from Saturday to Wednesday just because of one player? Like that doesn't feel like right to me. I don't think he moves anything up for Denver Harris. Am I wrong there?
I don't think you're wrong. He's a CEO, and he does everything really meticulously and organized and set to a T. So no, I don't think he would do it just for one player specifically. So there might be some underlying reasons as to why he would do something like that. But I mean, again, tomorrow is going to be what tells us, everything.
All right. So back into the real on the field football. There hasn't been much. I know that Ashton Stamps is rotating in with the ones and has looked pretty decent. If we're being real,
he's looked damn good.
Ashton Stamps has looked damn good. And listen, we're not talking about against Zach, the number 2 wide receivers. Like, God bless his soul, and I love this kid to death. I really do love him. It ain't Landon Ibieta. Okay, like he's doing it against Malik Nabers.
Yeah.
So, but the 3 that it seems outside the slot that are rotating with the ones, Zy Alexander, Deuce Chestnut, and Ashton Stamps. What have you made of those 3? Because I thought if there are any 3 that are stepping up, it's those 3.
I'm a huge fan of Zy Alexander. I love everything he brings to the table. He's long, he's lanky, he's quiet. He doesn't say too much, and he's sneaky strong. He's an interesting player. And then you look at somebody like Deuce Chestnut, and they're polar just opposites. It's not even close. Deuce Chestnut, somebody who's close to the ground, moves a little bit quicker, and he's feisty, and he's loud, and he's tenacious. So when you're comparing those 2 players, they're 2 completely different guys. And then you insert this true freshman, Ashton Stamps, and I mean, it's been a meteoric rise. He's flying up this depth chart, and he's looking phenomenal. So you have 3 kind of different dynamics right there. And LaTerrence Welch ultimately is your 4th guy. But, I mean, I love Zy Alexander. I love what he was bringing to the table right now. And Deuce Chestnut's just a firecracker, man.
Andre Sam, a guy at safety, who seamlessly is now, I guess, Zach, let me ask you this. Would you consider Andre Sam a starter at this point? I mean, that's pretty much locked in because he's been running with the ones for a while.
He's been running with the ones because Greg Brooks has been dealing with some health issues. But, if they go in a 3 safety set, I mean, it's 100% locked in. He's there.
And Greg Brooks, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, but he's been a lot in the slot, though, man, right? Like, he's been in the slot a lot of times, and then Andre Sam is that 3rd safety that's pretty much been in there, correct?
Correct. And Sam's looked spectacular. Andre Sam has looked the part. And there were some questions. I mean, was he an SEC caliber player coming from, Marshall, McNeese, that Tulane quick stint? It doesn't really count, to be honest with you. But Is he an SEC guy? And he's looked the part. He's looked phenomenal. He's come up with a couple pass breakups, a pick here and there. So he's looking phenomenal. Major Burns is an incredible safety. I mean, he's looking tremendously big. He worked with the linebackers a little bit today as well. So it's been a little interesting dynamic there. But eventually, Greg Brooks will get healthy and work in there too. And I mean, you have 3 capable SEC safeties.
Moving along this LSU team, Zach, I went back a year ago today. Okay, I don't know if you heard this when we were talking about before you came on. 7 different offensive line combinations with the ones.
Yeah.
This time last year, Zach, we've had 1 this year.
Correct.
The same starting 5. What do you make of that?
You've had the same starting 5 for the most part. You've had Mason Lunsford kind of go in there a little bit too. Marlon Martinez a little bit too. But, I mean, from left to right, you've got Will Campbell, Garrett Dellinger, Charles Turner, Miles Frazier, and Emory Jones. And that's kind of been your set 5 guys. And they've looked great. And it's a promising sign because you're only going to go as far as your offensive line takes you. And Jayden Daniels was a success story when his offensive line was great. So at the end of the day, however they look is going to be how far this team goes.
It's interesting because Jayden has a lot of time back there, and it's not like, Zach, that Harold Perkins didn't rush today, right? Like I saw the tweet from somebody, God bless it, God save me. Harold Perkins tries to get a rush on Emory Jones, can't get there. Jayden Daniels steps up in the pocket, rifles one downfield, touchdown. Are they the most improved unit since Brian Kelly's been here? Like if you had to point out one unit that has taken probably the biggest leap, would it be this O-line unit since Brian Kelly's been the head coach?
Yes. I mean, he brought in 2 true freshmen last year who dominated the game. Will Campbell and Emory Jones are menaces up front, and they look the part. And now they have experience under their belt as true freshmen. You come in as sophomores and you take on more of a leadership role. And you have Lance Hurd coming in as a true freshman who's looking great with the second unit. I mean, yes. Just to answer your question, yes. Yes.
Running backs today, look, couple guys were out. Go read the report. Zach put it in his. But some running backs were out, but John Emery, Noah Kane, Trey Holly, and Caleb Jackson with a tutty today from, what was it, Garrett Nussmeier in the flat, I'm assuming? Yes. So let me ask you this, running back, really quickly. Do you have any inkling of who's going to start? Because I'm going to be real. I wrote down in practice when you and I were there and we were walking off the field, it was 2 plays out, 2 plays out, 2 plays out. They're rotating like hotcakes, and me and IHOP and all you can eat pancakes on Sundays, okay? They're rotating in and out. Do you have any inkling who's going to be the starting running back for LSU?
It's hard to not point at Logan Diggs and Josh Williams if they're healthy to be kind of a 1-2 punch right then and there. Noah Kane's been as consistent and reliable as you could ask for during camp. He's had a phenomenal offseason, and you'd be doing him kind of dirty if you didn't give him a sufficient amount of snaps. So it's a 3-headed monster right then and there. Armani Goodwin, if he can stay healthy, would be phenomenal. Trey Bradford is a really slept-on guy that no one's talking about, who's been taking a couple first-team reps too with some guys banged up. And when I say guys banged up, I'm referring to Josh Williams, Armani Goodwin, and Logan Diggs. They didn't participate today. So, I want to look at Josh Williams and Logan Diggs and say that could be your 1-2 punch. And if you need a third guy, you look at Noah Kane as somebody who can step into the fold.
This is opinion. This isn't sourcing. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what Frank's going to do, and I'm not in that building. So me trying to tell Frank Wilson anything's probably pretty stupid. I would give Noah Kane that first rep on offense, down 1, play 1 for LSU. He was here in the spring. He was at every practice. He's been in the fall. He's been in every practice. He hasn't missed a beat. And I think that you got to reward that. That's if there's somebody that's going to tell me, hey, who is down 1, play 1, snap 1 starter, there's no way in hell to me that you don't give it to 21 because he's been there the whole time, Zach.
He's been all reliable. I mean, he's somebody that you can fall back on when you need him, and he's been healthy. He's looked the part, like I've said a gajillion times about a couple of people. And, he's just been really consistent, and he doesn't skip a beat. So that's not a far-fetched take at all, and that's kind of why I included him in that big 3 because you don't know what's going to happen with Josh Williams. That knee's been giving him some trouble. Logan Diggs' hamstring and a couple of other things kind of have kept him out.
Are you worried about him?
I'm worried about Logan Diggs?
No, are you worried about Josh Williams?
I wouldn't say I'm worried about him. It's definitely concerning considering how much time he's missed this offseason. I'd like to see him get healthy and kill the last couple of weeks of camp. But it's certainly I'd be lying if I said I wasn't concerned because he's just missed so much time this offseason. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to transition because I'm trying to hit all these position groups with you. Zack Nagy, Sports Illustrated, LSU Country. You can follow him on Twitter at ZNaggy20. Your boy, Kamari and Pimpton. Go ahead.
I'm obsessed with him,
Talk
dude.
about him. I know that you love him. Every time I pass and walk by you in practice, all I hear is Nagy saying, "Oh, Blake, there goes Pimpton again." And I'm just like, okay, Mr. Zack. Okay. Bro.
Dude.
Man looks good.
I mean, my goodness gracious. He's a unit. His wingspan is the size. It's a billboard off I-10.
Hey, Gordon.
Get him something and have him on the billboard with his wingspan stretching across the whole damn thing, because that's just how good. That's how long he is. His catch radius is tremendous. His hands are so advanced. His physical tools are tremendous. It's hard to not look at Kamari and Pimpton and just be like, what the heck is going on?
So he caught a fade route, correct, in the back of the end zone off of Jordan Allen today. Is that right?
Dude, catch of the day. Catch of the day, one of the catches of fall camp. It's almost impossible to overthrow him. His arms are so long, his verticals there, physical tools. I love him.
Remind you of? Is he Kyle Pitts?
Someone asked me that the other day. Actually, it's crazy that you asked me that. That's such high praise. He's a true freshman. I don't want to put those type of expectations on his back right now, but I mean, when you're looking at a comparison in the long-term game, it's hard to not look at somebody like Kyle Pitts and say he's just that versatile.
He's not as small, like lean as Kyle Pitts is. Like he's I don't know what to put him as, man. Because if you give the body comp, it's like you're doing him a disservice. But I mean, when they're the same height, they're the same weight. It's just hard not to look at him. And he continues, and I heard Steeples talk about this in practice, him screaming, Zack, have you seen him not come down with the ball yet? Like, there's not been one that's touched the ground when they throw it at him.
For the most part, he's catching damn near everything.
Everything.
Of course, true freshman. There'll be a couple drops here and there. I'm not gonna be a liar here, but
right.
I can't go that hard. You know how much I love him, so I have to give it's not always perfect with him. But look, man, he's catching just about everything his way, and he's looking absolutely phenomenal. I'm glad you brought up Pimpton.
Guys on Facebook, I'm not sure what's going on with the audio. I mean, Zack, you can hear me, correct?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Everybody on YouTube seems to be okay with it. All right.
Sure.
The front seven. Let's go D-line linebackers. What did you see today from them?
Yeah, so I guess kind of hit on Mason Smith first. He was off to the side, kind of doing individual work for the most part. On Saturday, he went down with that, leg injury, and it's minor. It's not something that's going to be worried about long term, but he was off to the side for the most part. So your front four has been kind of Savion Jones and Ovie Ogufo, however you want to pronounce it, on the outsides, and then you got Mekhi Wingo and Jacoby and Guillory on the inside doing what they need to do. So that's your front four when Mason Smith's getting healthy on the sideline. Another guy who had a tremendous day today was Quincy Wiggins. In my opinion, he had the best day of fall camp. He's somebody that I'm super high on, and I would love to, see what happens with him, because you can't not put him in the game this season. He needs some reps. So, your front four, I kind of said that for you. Get a little Quincy Wiggins action in there as well, and then what your linebacker unit looks like. You have Harold Perkins and Omar Spades holding down the fort with some action from Greg Penn and the Weeks brothers. So, you have some versatility up front, that front seven.
Can we expound on this Quincy Wiggins thing? What happened?
Dude, winning one-on-one battles, just looking incredibly poised. Body is unbelievable. I was talking about Kamari and Pimpton's.
I saw he pumped Pimpton today, dude.
Yeah. I talked about the physical traits that he has, and you look at somebody like Quincy Wiggins, and he's kind of in the exact same boat as well. Physically advanced for his age. I know he's in his second year with the program, but he's looking phenomenal.
Last question for you, Zack, because I kept you way too long. I'm going to make a statement, and you don't have to agree with. I feel if the game against Florida State happened today, I'm not worried about what LSU is going to do offensively. Just not really worried. But I do get a gut-wrenching feeling knowing what Florida State has a receiver, quarterback, offensive line, and other positions. I don't like that. if the game were to line up today, what are you? Is there like, what are you happy and glad and know that LSU has accomplished and they'll look good at? But is there anything that makes you nervous?
I mean, you know the answer. It's the secondary. I mean, what are you going to get from that unit? And you can look at that and circle the secondary, but if your defensive line shows up to the game like they're supposed to and put some pressure on their quarterback and work from there, you're going to put yourself in tremendous position. But if I'm circling one spot, it's most definitely going to be that secondary. What can they do? And can they do their business?
All right, we do have a couple questions in here for you. I'm going to throw this. Josh Forbes says, Zach, you're a traitor because you went from Preston's show to my show, but this show's better because Preston stinks. I'm just joking. I love Preston.
Love Preston.
Yeah, okay. Sage Ryan out there at corner. What you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you're throwing different formations, different schemes out there, you're going to put somebody like Sage Ryan there. There's some depth issues at corner for the most part. So you have your top three of Stamps, Alexander, and Deuce Chestnut. You throw somebody in there like Sage Ryan, who's a versatile athlete. I mean, you might as well get him on the field as much as you can. So yeah, he's been getting some reps at corner, and he's not shying away from the competition.
How has he looked?
Great. I love what Sage Ryan brings to the table. We had the chance to talk to him earlier this week as well, and I love what he brings to the table, man. He's such a humble beast, and I'm excited to see him kind of break out this season. When you're circling guys who have the chance to break out this year, you have to put Sage Ryan on that list.
All right, we have one last for you. C King says, "How does Savion Jones look?" Now, I've been just completely in awe of this young man, but how have you seen Savion Jones look?
I love what he brings to the table. He's been living in the weight room. He's been taking advantage of the nutrition staff. He's up to roughly 280 pounds, around that area. So big, strong, tenacious, and kind of just doing what he needs to do on the line. And I'm really intrigued with what type of year he can have too. I talk about Sage Ryan as a breakout candidate. I'd be kind of doing Savion Jones a disservice if I didn't put his name in that category as well.
All right, last one. I lied. Toviano. A lot of people are like, "Hey, man, he's killing it," and I'm like, I mean, I've seen some things, but I mean, what do you think of Toviano? I mean, he just looks like he just has. He has not looked bad. He looks like he's having freshman moments. That's how I see it, because he's like really one really good play, and then it's like he's looking around like, oh, how'd they just score? Thoughts on Toviano so far?
It's well said on your behalf. I mean, he's a freshman. He's going to have some hiccups here and there, and he certainly had those. But I mean, the offseason that he's had is tremendous. He went from 185 pounds to 201 pounds. I mean,
right.
He looks like an absolute dog living in the weight room, and he's poised, long term to do big things. But as for the current time that we're at right now, there's been some hiccups here and there because he showed flashes of greatness. I mean, he can do anything you need in the secondary. He can play nickel, cornerback, safety, really do whatever you need. And he's been getting a little bit of safety action throughout the last couple of days as well. But he's looked great at times, and he's had his freshman moments at times as well.